And welcome everybody to another Smart Money Circle show. I'm Adam Sarhan. With me today is Sam Tabar, who's CEO of BitDigital, ticker symbol BTBT. Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for
Hi.
taking the time to come on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Sam, I always like to begin. Can you tell us your story and how you got to where you are today, please?
Sure. I started my career as an attorney at Skadden Arps in New York City. I slept under a desk for a few years, working as a lawyer. And After a number of years, I had a client that um, was a Japanese hedge fund, and they asked me to work as in-house counsel. And they asked me to move to Tokyo, and I said yes. I've never been to Tokyo, and I just took the risk. Moved to
Wow.
Tokyo and learned the language there. I lived there for a number of years, about 6 years. And then Bank of America, Merrill Lynch asked me to run their capital strategy. And I moved to Hong Kong and I was responsible for their capital strategy for all of the Asia Pacific region, including Australia. Did that for a number of years. And then I moved to New York, back to New York from Asia, and I co-founded a blockchain company called Fluidity. We created something called AirSwap, which went viral. And it was a decentralized exchange. We were one of the precursors to the whole decentralized exchange concept in blockchain. We sold that company to the co-founder of Ethereum, Joe Lubin. And I then took on the responsibility of being in the executive team of BitDigital, a NASDAQ listed Bitcoin mining company. I'm currently CEO.
Excellent. That's a fantastic story. So you started off in one direction. I love the law side of it. And then you moved into finance, and then you moved into the blockchain. And then here you are, CEO of
Yeah.
B2B.
One of the reasons why blockchain I found interesting was back in 2008, which I lived through. I'm in my 50s now. I remember Satoshi's white paper coming out, and it talked about Bitcoin, and I thought it was a really cheesy name. And I did read the white paper, and I thought, well, that's really interesting, but that's just being used as a sort of a currency being used for drugs and illicit things. And that was the initial um, currency of Bitcoin at the time. Of course, it has expanded greatly. Just as the internet, when the internet was invented, believe it or not, most of it was, illicit stuff like pornography and things like that. But the internet became much bigger than that. But when the internet was invented, there was a lot of it appealed to the more base nature of humanity that has since been elevated. Same thing with Bitcoin.
Blockchain, yeah, it makes perfect sense. So, Sam, let us know, tell us a little about your business and some of the competitive advantages you have, please.
Sure. So at BitDigital, we're listed under NASDAQ BTBT. We're a publicly listed company, and we're one of the large scale Bitcoin miners out there. We're not unique in the sense that there are other Bitcoin miners, but we are unique in another way, very unique in another way that I'll get into shortly. We have operations in North America, that being in the United States, Canada, and Iceland. It's important to have operational diversification. The reason for that is when we have tens and tens of thousands of Bitcoin miners, and if you have everything located in one operation, you're creating operational risk. In other words, something can blow up, a regulatory change can happen against you, and it's just not worth having all your eggs in one basket. So what we've done is we've created operational diversification by having our operations and our fleet diversified across different countries and different states and different jurisdictions. And that way we maintain and risk or manage our risk with respect to operations. And we're not the only ones that do that, but I think we're the most diversified by far.
Mhm.
Uh, so as mentioned, we are a Bitcoin miner. However, we have an AI business, and that AI business is very material. In fact, it may even dwarf our Bitcoin mining revenues. And so we're really well positioned in the sector and the entire Bitcoin mining sector. As far as I know, nobody has a material AI business like we do. And we have certainty of revenues over the next few years. about well over 35 million a year. And that is very certain. And so we have this massive mining fleet, but we have a certain AI business as well. The problem with Bitcoin mining, or the blessing, is that it's Bitcoin on steroids. When Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin mining stocks go up even more. So as an example of that, Bitcoin's up about 200%, 250% year to date. Bitcoin mining stocks, including ourselves, are up more than 400%. So if you believe in Bitcoin, if you buy a Bitcoin mining stock, that goes up even more. There's more beta in Bitcoin. If you have a thesis that Bitcoin's going up, if you look at things historically, Bitcoin mining stocks go up even more.
Yes.
So that's the trick with respect to Bitcoin mining. That's why people invest in Bitcoin mining. The issue with Bitcoin mining is that it's quite volatile. Even though you have a view that it'll go up, it could also go down. And that's why we have this AI business that creates this stability that no one else in the sector does. So we become this AI business with a Bitcoin mining call option, which is really the perfect situation. So if Bitcoin goes down, we'll still do very, very well because we have this AI business. And if Bitcoin goes up, that's fantastic. We have this massive fleet and we'll make bank with respect to Bitcoin as it goes up.
I love that. So let's talk about the AI component because that's a very, very, like you said, it could dwarf the mining side of it. It's almost like Amazon Web Services and Amazon Retail, how the web services, Jesse's now from the web services and that overcame. Let's talk about the AI. Do you do AI for mining or is AI used for other applications? And if so, what?
Yeah, so basically so there are people who do AI applications. These folks who are doing AI applications need very serious specialized computational power.
Got
We're
it.
not involved in in AI applications. We don't do that. We're not doing ChatGPT 5, 6, or whatever.
Yeah.
But what we do have are specialized machines that actually provide the computational power to create AI applications. So we have access to these specialized NVIDIA machines that we've parked in Iceland. And people who are doing AI applications, they need to rent certain computational power. They need to rent the infrastructure to power their applications. And they come to us and sign contracts in order to rent that computational power. We have an incredible client, an incredible anchor client that's currently renting computational power from us. They don't want to get involved in the hardware business. That's our specialty. They want to
Understood.
just do the AI application part. We don't want to do the AI application part. That's not our specialty. Our
Right.
specialty is the hardware.
Okay.
We've sourced the equipment. We've put that in a specialized data center, and people come to us to rent that computational power. That's the AI business. Pretty simple.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense because a lot of that NVIDIA chips you need for the mining, and if you don't use them for mining, you use them for the AI and vice, and you've got that infrastructure built out. So I
We
love that.
do.
Got
Although
it.
it's important to mention that Bitcoin mining equipment, Bitcoin mining machines are different from um,
AI.
AI machines. AI machines are Lamborghinis and require a specialized data center,
Got
whereas
it.
Bitcoin mining machines are like Hyundais. They're not like specialized Lamborghinis that require high-powered ability. So you could put that in a lower tier data center, whereas with respect to AI machines, you've got to put that in a specialized data center. We have the ability and access to both.
I love that. Okay, let's talk about risk. How do you handle risk, and what are some mistakes you've seen people make with respect to risk management over your career?
Sure. So in the very early days, many years ago, BitDigital had its entire fleet in China.
Wow.
And we took the view that that was probably a really bad idea with respect to risk, jurisdictional risk, because in China you can get the rug pulled from under you very quickly.
Yeah.
And indeed, there was a ban on Bitcoin mining, and fortunately, we migrated our entire fleet. Where we were in the process of migrating our entire fleet 6 months before the ban.
Well
So,
done.
and sure, thank you. And so that's really in our DNA to manage jurisdictional and operational risk. People think we're being paranoid, but we were not. And so we think it's risky when Bitcoin miners have all their eggs in one basket, in like, for example, say in one country or heavily in one operation. That's not a good idea. And we don't think it's a theoretical risk. We've actually lived through that risk by seeing what happened in China. So that's one risk that we think our peers are making that we are not.
Got it.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. And I guess from your law side to your
Al-
background, yeah, go ahead.
Also another very important risk that your investors should be really aware of when they're looking at the Bitcoin mining sector, because there is about a dozen of us in the sector. We're all friendly competing. But the problem with a lot of the competition is that they're just there's not much differentiation between Bitcoin miners except for size. And there's not really an economy of scale that goes on here in Bitcoin mining. So their strategy is hope. They hope Bitcoin goes up. That's a really bad strategy. I'm not going to run a business based on hope. It's true that it might work out. I actually believe that Bitcoin's going to go up. And if Bitcoin goes up, like as I said, Bitcoin mining stocks go up even more. That's great. And that'll work out for them. That's their hope, and their hope may work out. But wouldn't you rather invest in a stock that has the stability of revenue on the AI side, right? And if Bitcoin goes up, we have that call option. And so you can capture the call option, but at least you have this base on the AI revenue. And that's how we're uniquely placed in the sector.
Yeah, that's really smart. And
And so the strategy of just hoping that Bitcoin goes up is, to me, is not the most wisest strategy, although it may work out.
it's the risk component, and it goes back to your law background. If I understand what you're saying correctly, where just like you're protecting yourself from regulatory and jurisdictional risk by diversifying in different countries, from an income standpoint or revenue standpoint, you're diversifying your risk as well. Whereas if one thing doesn't work, the mining side of it, guess what? You've got the AI hardware component, which is steady cash flow, and it's almost
You've
like,
nailed it.
yeah, it's like what Levi's did back in the gold rush, where he made his money selling the jeans and the pickets and the shovels, not so much digging the hole trying to find the gold, which I love. But you also have that component as well because you've got the mining constantly going. So you're hitting it from both sides.
You've nailed it.
I love that. Okay, Sam, let's talk about some timeless lessons you've learned along the way in business and marketing, in any law, anywhere you want to go. I'd love to hear.
Just in general.
Yeah, and Jen, anywhere you want, specific legal background. You can wear the business hat, you can wear the investor hat, anywhere, any hat you want to wear. Just some timeless lessons I'd like to share with the audience.
Yeah, I think, I have dealt with a lot of characters in my life, including myself. And I think the most important thing when you're dealing with people in negotiation and um, things that go wrong is just to stay calm and just take a walk around the park, or um, just hold off before reacting. I think that about the majority of the times that I've reacted without taking some pause, I don't think we're always the wisest. And so I've come to a point in my life where I've learned a lot of painful lessons to just hold off and just wait for things to simmer down. Sometimes not making a decision right away is okay. And just thinking, trying to zoom out and see if, what's going to matter next year, not tomorrow, but what will really matter next year. And if what's being done against you won't matter next year,
Yeah.
then it's better to just think about it. And so the general business advice I would give to entrepreneurs running a business or on the rise, or even middle management or wherever you are in a company structure, is if somebody pisses you off, just stay calm. People actually really value uh, steadiness and your ability to deal with crap
Mhm.
without reacting. It's a skill. It's a learned skill, at least in my case, and it's a muscle that you need to train, just like going to a gym. You need to train that muscle to remain calm. And so that's one bit of advice I would give to any entrepreneur or any employee uh, that's working in this game of capitalism.
Yeah, I
I do
love
have
it.
some personal advice.
Yeah,
Some
please.
personal
Yeah.
if is you need to always be careful who your friends and who your partner, your romantic partner is. That has a strong effect, probably the biggest effect in the world on you. there is this old adage that you're basically the combination of the 5 people you hang out with. The top 5 people you hang out with is basically who you are as a mixture. That is an adage I heard, and that is completely true. So if you want to become a better person or another person, the easiest way to do that is just to select people that you know that you like or admire, because through this strange chemical osmosis, what happens is that you blend into that person as well.
Mhm.
And the person that you go home to every day, in my case, if you're a straight man, you go home to a girlfriend, or if you're, whatever orientation you go home to. Anyway, my point, you get it. My
Yeah,
point is, that romantic person also has a huge, that your romantic partner also has a huge impact on how you feel about things. And sometimes um, people, I have noticed a lot of my peers, sometimes they go home to less than ideal situations, and it has an effect on the workplace and their social life and their general outlook on life. So so yeah, I would be very careful on who you select as a romantic partner and as your friends.
I absolutely love that. That's some great advice. So I wrote a book, Sam, years ago, and it was #1 on Amazon for 2 months. It's called Psychological Analysis. The whole point is to learn how to make rational, not emotional decisions with
Yeah.
your money, especially when you're investing. So what you're saying here is just, and select those people around you. That is so, so powerful. What are some timeless mistakes you've made and or learned from, or you've seen other people make that you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I think I may have signaled it. I have sometimes in the past, particularly in my 30s, I have made decisions and reacted out of ego instead of out of zooming out and just understanding what really matters in the long term. So those are mistakes I made a lot, especially in my 30s, as I was on the rise and I was drinking my own Kool-Aid, and I started to believe my own hype. And so I've learned my lesson on that.
I love
And
that.
um, and yeah, and with respect to business, always, always having a diversified approach is really smart.
I love that. Now, let's talk about leadership for a second because you're the CEO, you've led groups, you've led the Asian team with Bank of America, and so on and so forth. What makes a great leader, and what are some timeless lessons you've learned about leadership that you'd like to share with the audience, please?
I think what makes a great leader is somebody that doesn't make it so obvious that he's the leader. It if you walk into a room and people are nervous, then you're not going to unlock their intellectual value.
Mhm,
Uh, they're just going to be yes men around you.
mhm.
It's really important for people to feel like they're equals in many ways. And the leadership thing only comes into play when there's a difficult decision to make. If sometimes decisions are not super clear,
Mhm.
and sometimes the answers are not super clear, and that's when you sort of have to make a decision. And frankly, not all my decisions, you have to make them with conviction,
Right,
but there's a bit of an acting component when you make it with conviction. That's the leadership part. It's sort of a performance. So you've got to show conviction to the team that this is the right decision, so that everybody comes on board with that decision. But in your heart and your mind, you you're aware that that decision may have been the wrong one. You just don't really know 100%. But you have to act as if it's 100%. Otherwise, you can't get people on board.
right. And then let's say the decision's wrong and data shows up where it is wrong. What do you do to pivot or to adjust, and how do you handle that? Because
Well, stay calm. That's the most important thing. And just talk through it as just be very transparent about it. And it's okay to admit mistakes. I have never had a problem admitting mistakes, and I've never understood the issue about admitting mistakes and learning from it, because you're showing the others that you're human and you have the ability to learn. And people like to hang out with and work with people who are still evolving. I don't Nobody wants to hang out with somebody who thinks they are not evolving anymore. That's like, it's not a
right,
good mind to work with. And so that it's important to show others that you're still growing. Otherwise, you just act like you're just people will just think you're a dick.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk about obstacles and adversity. Can you mention or share with us some stories or any kind of obstacle where you had to overcome it or hit some adversity? And how do you handle that? Because I know many people fall off the deep end, by all means.
Yeah, so with respect to business, I assume, I think, look, I started my career as an attorney,
Yes.
then I became a banker, and now I'm in technology. And I know that a lot of people understand, especially millennials and Gen Zs, they don't have this mindset of like sticking to one career for the rest of their lives. And so I'm glad that I was able to, I'm still technically and licensed as a lawyer, but I was able to mentally make the shift from going from law to banking to technology. And I didn't see myself as a one-trick pony in all of these things. So with respect to career advice, anybody who's watching this show, if they're in a career that they're getting bored of, or they don't particularly think they're flourishing, or they're doing well, but they want to change, I would really encourage it. Don't think that you're just, once you're an accountant and that's it, you're an accountant, or once you're this, that's it, that's your thing. It's okay to experiment. It's really good for the mind to take on things that you don't fully understand. That's how your brain develops. Just as you go to the gym and you're working out your muscles, the mind is the same way. And so jumping on different professions is like a great cognitive workout.
That's so powerful. I love that. So, final question for you, Sam. What is the best piece of advice you'd like to share with the audience or your 30-year-old self?
I think I shared it. Just be careful with who you hang out with because it really has an impact. Don't believe in your ability to be immune to the humans you hang out with. You are much weaker than you think. The
Mm,
mind is a very soft jelly tissue, and the
right,
only control you have is the situations you put yourself into.
right.
So if you're in a situation with a bunch of bad folks, you will become just through osmosis one of them. Even if your mind is very strong, your mind is not strong. Your mind is just going to absorb the environment that's around you. So the only control you have is the environment you put yourself into.
I love that. And if you're in a good environment, you're going to do better. It's like playing, tennis, for example, against somebody who's 5 years old. You're not going to improve your game. But if you play against a pro, hey, guess what? You get a little bit better every time. So that's a really good
Yeah,
example.
it's good. It's good in your 30s. It's good in 40s. It's good to in 20s. Try to hang out with people who are better than you, smarter than you. But I
Mhm.
have to say, there comes a point where that game gets a little old, and it's okay to hang out with people who are not necessarily. You don't have to hang out with people who are better than you all the time. There comes a point where you just want to be at peace with the world,
Yes.
and and but just hang out with good people, because for obvious reasons.
Yeah, and you can also mentor the other ones as you get
Yeah.
it to your stage, and then it
Yeah,
evolves. You become the next person, and so on and so forth. Well, Sam,
that's
this has
right.
been fantastic. Thank you so much. Bit Digital is your company. The ticker symbol is BTBT. I love what you guys are doing, and
Thank you.
hopefully we'll have you on again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.